What's going on, guys? This is Captain Trucker. If this is your first time here, please subscribe if you want. If you don't want to, it's okay. We'll still do this together. So I want to talk in this video about the Amerasian kids in the Philippines and the fact that unfortunately the U.S. military personnel, some of them have left behind dozens of thousands of kids potentially in the Philippines who have no money, no citizenship, and no father apparently. What an absolute disgrace on those guys. These guys were like supposed to protect America's allies, to represent the United States. And some of these servicemen have created populations of unfathered kids with no money, no identity, who are roaming somewhere in the Philippines. Yeah. When I first did this video a few days ago, I had to take a break from YouTube because it's really hasn't been good for my mental health the past couple days reading these stories. And I made a video about it yesterday and I took it down because I started yelling and stuff at the camera, and I realized that that's not really normal behavior that most people tune in to watch. And I don't want to be yelling at the viewers. They didn't do anything right. So yeah, here we are, guys. And maybe I just didn't know. I assumed, you hear cases like this, right? You hear cases about the Navy and those sailors. Oh, he knocked up some woman overseas, and I thought it was like a handful of cases. I didn't realize that these guys have created populations. Okay? What's the word? Like lineages? Family trees? They've created like a zip code. It's like... And forget about the moral issue here. Forget about the fact that these are thousands of souls with eyes and little baby arms and rattles and innocent children. Of course, who's going to pay this bill financially? My goodness. So it leads me to another question, and this is just in the Philippines, by the way. This whole Amerasian thing it's been a big deal for a long time, especially in Vietnam and other countries. But we're just going to talk about the Philippines here. Is this just the general consensus of humanity? That if you're an American or a European, that you're just, when you go to some Eastern country or you go to Africa or some, poor country, some underdeveloped country, are you just allowed to treat humanity and do whatever you want? With absolutely no conscience, with no second thoughts? I mean, we talk all this stuff about equal rights and we're all created equal and one nation under God, and these men took an oath. This is the type of behavior you would expect from some degenerate saxpat tourist or some 20-something-year-old who is some hippie digital nomad guy that maybe knocked up a Filipina and then realized she was some psychopath and he got scared and ran away and he couldn't afford the bill. I mean, these are U.S. military personnel, guys that go through training, guys that are willing to defend the country for the sake of their lives, put their lives on the line. They don't do this for the money either. They do it out of honor and service and dignity and respect and all these words. And then what? They go to the Philippines or some other country and all of a sudden it's just, well, it's out the door. It makes me question too, back to that, just the general consensus about how we seem as Westerners to treat people in foreign countries. Who's supervising these guys, by the way? These personnel, I'm not sure how it really works, but when they're on their base here, what is it, in Subic Bay or something in the Philippines, what's going on in these bases? So like these guys will, I mean, this isn't like an active war zone either, right? So I'm thinking like these servicemen, they're doing their duty, they're on the base, and then 5 o'clock, 1700 comes around, and then so they go off duty, they take their uniform off, and then they run around town, and they just start sleeping with a bunch of Filipinas and knocking them up, and it's like, well, as long as they go out and they're drunk and act like animals, hey boys, just make sure you're back at 0500 and make sure that uniform's pressed before you return to duty, and it's all good. Uh, I mean, that appears to be the acceptable behavior. So we got to really question the morale of like who's supervising these guys. Do they need like a team lead, a captain, a sergeant? Like, I mean, should they be going out in groups off the base? Do we need to write to Congress to see if there's some sort of like military training for these young men, how to behave like civilized human beings when they go to these countries when they're off duty? Because this is totally unacceptable, unbecoming. It's interesting too because I haven't, I mean, I dug into this a little bit, and I'm reading some of the articles, and I can tell just by the style of the article and the way they're selling it, like they're almost, some of these articles are trying to pin a good chunk of this on these prostitutes and sex workers here, right? So again, we're going back to the typical, victim blaming and let's blame the Filipinas. I mean, and it's such BS because like, I don't know about you guys, but like how many men do you know, first of all, would sleep with a prostitute without a condom? Which makes me wonder if a lot of these guys had like legitimate relationships with some local Filipinas, like they became boyfriend and girlfriend, and they just decided to bail out of time once their duty was up or whatever and change their number, so to speak. Yeah, what a shame. And I'm thinking about that, back to blaming Filipinos and everything. Are we really surprised that there's populations of some scammers here? I mean, look at the history. Where's the responsibility? We're going to tag. They didn't do anything to. I mean, they're taking care of our abandoned kids. They love the military. They still love you guys. They call you Joe. They wave to you. They respect you. They love the Americans. And look what they did. Now keep in mind, this isn't like a smear on the U.S. military. That's the thing that's blowing my mind the past few days. Is like most of the military men I've known, and the military expats that I know of, and the guys that write on this channel, like these are all upstanding, good guys. Like guys with integrity, guys with morals, like the kind of guys you want around, like good people. Most of the military are good men, so it's like there seems to be a percentage of these misbehaving guys that are acting this way overseas when they're in their service, and it's a problem, and it's not acceptable, and it's not cool. So yeah, I mean, I got military in my family. There's captains and colonels going back to all the major world wars and the American wars. Like, I mean, I don't know anybody who behaves this way, personally. So, like I said, I thought it was just a handful of cases, but you're reading about dozens of thousands of kids. So, clearly there's some kind of training problem. There's a morale issue. There's an issue of education. There's just basic human rights issues. So we got to maybe write to Congress, figure this out. We got to start talking about it more because this is unacceptable. And I guess they might be coming back to do something. And so some of the Filipinos are obviously concerned because they don't want any more abandoned kids running around. So yeah, I don't know, maybe people have more, if anybody watching has more information about this, let me know. And I think there might be ways for some of these kids to get their citizenship. There might be programs or DNA testing, I believe. I don't know. It might be. I've been reading some things. I'll try to put stuff up in the community section. But, yeah. We need to start really thinking about who we are as a people, guys. And for the military, man, we need to think about the fact that these people respect us, they need us, and don't take advantage of that. Don't take advantage of the fact that the Filipinos welcome you with open arms. There's not many places in the world like that, guys. You couldn't pull these games in another country. Well, maybe they could, I don't know. But I mean, you couldn't do stuff like that. It's not acceptable. So let's have a little bit of respect for our fellow humanity. All right. Well, it's Captain Trucker, guys. That's my speech for the day. I hope you enjoyed it. So coming up, we got more positive things. Hopefully, I'm going to go to Bacolod again. If I said it right, I don't know if I said it right. I want to do some more touring around and give some advice for expats who want to move here. Talk a bit about finding good Filipino wives and advice for retirees, just general stuff like that. So thank you for watching. As always, guys, it's Captain Trucker. Please subscribe. Take care. Bye-bye.